and welcome to Art, Artist and Aarti. I'm Aarti Uppal Singla from the Art Exchange project. This is a series where we'll be interacting with artists and other people from the art fraternity to understand what makes their creativity work and connect them with art lovers. Today, we are in conversation with the multifaceted artist Rashmi Rai. Welcome, Rashmi.
Thank you.
So, Rashmi, I have known you for some time, and every time I meet you, I hear that you are doing a different kind of art form.
Yes.
So, what makes you, experiment with so many different types of art?
Actually, I like to keep myself open to learning, and I never stop myself from learning something, a particular medium. I would like to learn it, and it just sort of opens up my mind to even the older art forms that I'm doing. It helps me to unblock myself, so I always like to delve into new art forms.
So, is it like when you're practicing one art form, from that you progress into the next, or it could be something very different from it, something maybe
I think all
completely
art forms
opposite?
are connected in the sense the mediums are different. Like photography is different from watercolors is different from calligraphy and stained glass and so many things. But it just sort of unblocks me, as I said, and it helps me understand all the mediums. It helps me understand art, actually, art in the true sense.
So, what according to you is art?
Art is the ability of a person to draw, paint, or photograph his vision onto a canvas.
Okay, onto any surface.
To any surface. And maybe it can be a performance art or anything. That is like the broad.
So you would say it's like if you're able to translate your thought into an expression,
absolutely,
it becomes art.
It's one of the ways, yeah. Expression is mostly what artists are delving into these days.
So when did you first start creating art?
I started with stained glass. My journey in art started with stained glass, the original stained glass, where you require cutting several pieces, the Tiffany lamps and everything. So I started with that in 2001.
Okay.
And I was pretty good at that. I sold quite a bit of those works, and then I moved on to other art forms.
So what art forms are you pursuing these days?
I'm doing a lot of things. I'm doing calligraphy. That's something new. And I do watercolors whenever I feel like. I keep continuing with watercolors, thanks to you. And of course, photography is there. I keep clicking pictures then and again.
So these are your current passions?
Yeah, these are my current passions.
So
and I'm also doing encaustic. I'm trying to experiment with wax.
Okay.
Photo encaustic works. I'm doing that. And I'm also doing cyanotypes.
So that's quite an old photography technique. I mean, like when we have moved from analog cameras to digital, and cyanotype is something that even predates a regular photo film.
Yeah.
So what interests you to take up such an archaic process? Apart from
because it involves hands.
Okay.
It involves hands. Cyanotypes involves hands. Encaustic involves hands. So something, the whole, if I process my art, if I do photoshopping of my artwork and I print it, that also is an art. But the moment I put some wax on it, or the moment I sort of do some handwork on it, it just makes
so
it
you like
more
the
tactile.
tangible aspect of creating the art.
The handwork on it, it just makes it more interesting.
So you're
I just like to do whatever I.
So you become a part of the process.
Yes, absolutely. I would love to do that.
So tell us more about encaustic. Encaustic is again a very old technique which has kind of died out.
So I don't know
Not
much
many
about
people do
encaustic. Encaustic has changed over nowadays. Encaustic, I would not be able to tell you anything much about encaustic, but
you have just started it.
No, I've just started it. Plus, what encaustic is selling in the market these days is basically mixed media with wax, you can call it.
Okay.
The original encaustic is
It's a very different
It's
process.
a very different process in which pigments were mixed with the
wax.
original beeswax, and they are melted to such a high degree that the wax melts and only the pigment stays on the canvas.
Wow,
So
that's
that was a very,
interesting.
very long process.
Yeah.
And very, very different
Yeah,
process.
these days we don't have time for long processes.
It's a-
And also
it's a
the
DIY
purity of
generation.
mediums.
Exactly.
You also sell art.
I do.
So how does that work with you creating art for yourself and then you selling artworks of other artists?
It just happens, if I like, since I got into this trade, since I got into art through so many different mediums, and original art was a thing in 2006. So I did have a company and a network of clients, and I just wanted to expand my work. So therefore I started collecting art and selling that also.
So you have a studio of your own where people work for you, or like you
I used to
outsource
have
it?
a studio, but
Okay.
I am looking for a new space at the moment. I'm just in between that, shifting. I'm just trying to be clear about what kind of a studio I want. And
So what kind of art people buy? Like, do they buy, like,
Very
there's
big
so many
question.
different, so many different genres. There are abstracts and there are conceptual arts, and then there are, figurative and Indian mythology. That is one
people
favorite
buy
subject.
everything according to me.
So the art that you have sold over time, what is the
If a person
demand?
is new into art, he would buy figurative work, something which he's going to relate to and understand. And people who have been into art for quite some time would probably see names and also explore the new artists, and they would also buy abstracts. So
What is your favorite type of art? Like when you paint, what do you paint?
uh, I like everything. I like abstracts and semi-abstracts. Semi-abstracts is something
And
which attracts
hibiscus.
me. I don't know.
Flowers.
Yeah, maybe flowers. Yeah, I was doing a lot of watercolors in flowers, and I was doing flowers in oils. I sold them quite a bit, but yeah, maybe I'm drawn to flowers, of course.
They are pretty.
Yeah.
So one aspect of your work has been doing paintings and photography, and there also then you have been doing a lot of art-based products like
Yes.
bags, cushion covers, and all.
I like to do that.
So
also.
how does that relate to what we hear from people is, oh, you're only a serious artist if you're making large paintings or
Yeah.
sculptures and all. So what message would you have for those people?
I think just go out of the box and do anything you feel like. I really think that art has to be brought out in many other forms in India. Like I like to promote functional art. I believe in functional art. So it's not necessary that all art has to be framed and put up on a wall.
Right.
I think there should be functional art too.
Yeah, like if you can have
On
a
furniture,
designed fabric, why not a painted
fabric,
one?
cushions. I've been doing cushions and table runners and things which you can use.
Yeah, like
And
painting
make
on
art.
fabrics is not just a
Exactly.
hobby class thing. Even
No,
I
even
think.
even a digital picture on a fabric,
Mhm.
a functional fabric like a cushion cover or a tablecloth or something, whatever. These days, people are painting on umbrellas. That is
Yes,
also
that
art.
is a very big thing.
So-
Lot of workshops happening on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even
Even
I feel
shoes.
like
Even shoes,
even
I mean.
shoes. Yes. So
So
every
I
other
like
day you
that.
see a workshop on paint your
Exactly.
shoes, paint an umbrella.
Yeah.
But I think it's right. Why should art be
Art
just
is not just
relegated
about a
to
painting.
painting
It's not
on a
just
wall?
about a wall.
You
I
can just
mean,
surround yourself with art in so many
Exactly.
ways.
Exactly. That's what I believe in.
So what are your plans for the future? You have an exhibition coming up.
Yes.
So tell us more about that.
This exhibition is titled Breadth and Boundaries, and it's basically about it's about transitions in life. Like I think our life is about a transition in itself, a journey, a transition, coming from past life to the next, going to the next life. So this whole life is a transition, and door represents that transition very well for me. It acts as a very good metaphor.
Yeah, like a door
And
is a
there's
passageway
got
between
100
two.
meanings to it, and a door also symbolizes transformation, change, every how we transform within this particular life from what we are. What there are so many things that happen that transform us. It's a transit. It's a transit. Our life is a transit, and all these pictures I've taken, it just formed a series 4 to 5 months back when I thought about it. I thought about this entire series, and it just all these pictures were like actually in transit. They were just in passing. I didn't really stand there for too long and take the picture.
Mhm.
So it just formed like that. But I mean, I leave it to the viewer to interpret his own.
So they are mainly
thing.
photographs based on like the imagery that you see is
Yeah.
doors and windows.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then interpretation is left to the viewer.
Absolutely, absolutely would like to do that.
So what kind of photography do you do apart from art photography?
I like to do family. I like to click families, and I have done a couple of projects before with family photography, and I think we really need it in this time.
So
The
instead
cell
of the
phone
usual
culture.
studio shots where you dress up, go to a studio and then sit rigidly in a chair and then take a
Yeah,
picture.
not about rigid, but something which is a need, I think, because the cell phones have like it is an advancement in technology, but at the same time there is a dearth of good pictures.
Yeah, cell phones is like everybody's a
Yeah.
photographer. You just aim it and shoot.
Yeah, and that's a convenience also at the same time.
But yeah, family picture.
But what I like about family photography is the art portraits, and that's something which is different. Like one has wedding photography and event photography. I mean event.
Mhm. Yes.
pictures
Fashion,
are there.
event,
Everything is
products,
there, but
everything.
I like to do the little bit of classical family portraits. So
So any interesting experiences you have when you have done family portraits?
yeah, I think the curtains normally fall on the entire. Sometimes I have a portable studio, so
Okay.
sometimes I mean, when there are children, then they step on the curtain and the entire curtain falls onto them, and they enjoy it. It's okay. It's.
So you usually have
I've had
like,
very good experience with family pictures.
so tell something which is like the most memorable one, or something like, or something that you would like do not want to happen again.
That is when I took 2 flashes once, and one of my flashes was not working.
Oh.
So that's a disaster with group pictures, you know.
Yeah, especially when then it's
Yeah.
a whole day's work wasted.
Yeah,
and
but I
then-
managed with 1 flash and some window light. So that's how.
So for your family pictures, you usually go to the
yeah.
their houses
I
and
go to
like
their
can do
house.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I go to
And-
their house.
So you like doing more of portraits and family pictures?
I just like clicking families. I mean, I love the expression of people when they are families sitting together and.
So do you have to
happy.
guide them like this is
A
how you
little
pose?
bit, a
and
little
this-
bit. That's just a little bit. Just some coordination with clothes and stuff like that, and not so much. I just make them. I mean, I just tell them you be happy. That's all, and you just interact with each other. That's the best thing. I think people just want that in the family pictures.
Yes, I think
I
it's
mean, nobody likes stiff
mm.
pictures.
Yeah, those days are far gone when you had those Raja Maharaja portraits, all
Yeah.
standing attention and looking squarely into the
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
They are like more of spontaneity is what.
That's the
should-
thing, like, in our parents' time, we had lesser pictures, but we had good pictures. And we had the hard copies of good pictures, which we
Yes.
can scan and reproduce. And, I mean, after that comes our generation, the cell phone generation. We don't have very good pictures. And then comes our children. I'm sure they will have good pictures. I hope so.
I hope the camera
But
is
like,
coming back into fashion.
Even if it's
You have
fewer
Polaroids.
pictures, one should have the good frameable pictures. Some of them. They
Yes.
are the memories, no?
See, when we grew up, we used analog cameras. 36 shots in a
Absolutely.
roll. So you had to
Yeah.
think about every shot. You didn't
I
want
remember
it to
doing
go
that.
waste.
I used to use the Minolta for my family pictures. I used to take.
So now it is like, fine, it's bad, you delete
Yeah.
it, move on, delete, move on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The thought that goes into making a picture is a lot less.
Much lesser. It is much lesser.
So now it's more about just clicking and not really.
Yeah, that's what happens
thinking.
even in their cell phones, and now people want to buy phones with more memory in it because they want to store all these pictures with them, you know. There's so many things, I don't know where it's going to land up.
That's only the future will tell us.
Yes, probably.
So what else are you doing these days? Like calligraphy, you said that is.
Calligraphy, yes, I learned a couple of months back, and it's just somewhat relaxing. I'm just letting myself go. I mean, I'm not planning anything. I am planning a few digital artworks on like, as I said, cushions. I've been doing cushion covers before, so I'm thinking this time I'll print them on a different medium, like a cushion or probably a wall hanging which is not on canvas but some fabric.
Okay.
So I'm going to experiment. Everything is like 90% of my works are experiments.
So that's good. Experimental works are always more fun.
They are fun.
And then you get to use so many different things that you're doing.
Yeah.
Mix photography with, calligraphy.
I like to do that. I want to paint on pictures also and see what happens. So someday I'm going to try that.
So, what would be your, message or your experience that you would want to share with artists who are starting off? Like recently I met this young lady and she said, like, I don't have a style. How do I make a style? Like most senior artists or people talk about, you're not an artist till you have one definitive style.
I'm also working on that for myself, I'm also trying to develop a style. But then I don't think one should get into that, and one should just keep doing whatever you're doing continuously, and your style, your personality of your work will stand out on its own. There's no such thing as your style will show after a couple of
irrespective of whether you're working in just one medium or working in 10 mediums.
You just keep practicing and the style will develop on its own. I mean, you have to art reveals you. You don't reveal art. Art reveals you, I feel. It makes you, it reveals what you are, I feel.
How do you find time to do art? Like, you have a grown-up son, you manage the house, and time management is something that will be a very good...
It's my breathing space. So I need it.
So you need it. So you make time for your art because that is like very essential.
I have to make time, yeah. Even if it's in the middle of the night, I'm going to do it.
That's very encouraging.
It's like once I got this fetish for learning candles, and my son was just 6 months old, and 2 hours, you know how children sleep 2 hours, 1.5 hours, and that's the time I used to rush to the kitchen and start making candles.
Wow.
I used to do that. So it's just that passion.
So it's your passion helps you make time.
Yeah. It's crazy passion though. But it's...
No, I think if it's giving you results, it's giving you satisfaction. It's a good passion to have.
It's the doing, yeah. I don't know. I have sold a lot of my works before. But I move on to other mediums. So I'm also discovering my style. I don't think... I have one style. Maybe it's going to it's going to reveal in itself. I'm also looking forward to it.
That will be it's going to be a journey of exploration for you. Like what happens next.
Yes. It's always an exploration.
That was lovely talking to you, Rashmi.
Thank you. And
I hope more and more people get inspired by you. Yes. Learn to make time for their art.
It's a pleasure.
Learn to experiment. Try out different things.
Absolutely. One should do that. Thanks for calling me.